Of course, the first thing I want to do is make sure Hardy is on. Hardy, can you hear us?
Sure can.
Okay, good. Thank you. And everybody else, of course, is here, so we'll make it fine like that. Let's see. Next thing I'd like to do is read this electronic meeting access and information notice. To ensure government function openly and transparently during the COVID-19 emergency while taking measures to protect the health and safety of citizens and government officials. Governor Bill Lee issued Executive Order Number 16 on March 20, 2020, allowing governing bodies to conduct essential business by electronic means. A link to the electronic meeting access and information is available at www.loudonutilities.org. Thank you. Now I'd like to recognize everybody maybe visiting with us either in the building, but I don't see any real visitors in the building. But we appreciate everybody that's tuned in with us and participating with this meeting. We thank you very much.
Everyone is unmuted if there are any public comments.
Excuse me?
Everyone online is unmuted at the moment if there are any comments.
Yeah, if you have any comments, we'll be glad to take them. Anybody that's online.
Nothing. Good.
Okay, thank you. All right, the first item on our agenda for today is approving the minutes. Where's our lawyer buddy at today?
Chris is on here.
Chris, are you online?
After the minutes, yes, Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the minutes and I recommend their approval.
He did approve? Okay, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. We need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Next item is the financial reports.
Our finance director, Nicole Curtis, is going to
swap presentations with us, and so you'll see a different view on your screen, which will represent the four departments that we'll go into detail on.
The financial reports you have before you are the March completed financials. We talked about these at the May workshop 2 weeks ago. Very briefly, the electric department net revenues for the year are at $1.2 million, $1.234 million. We are well ahead of where we were last fiscal year. Part of that plays into the unbilled revenue, so there will be some adjustments, but we are on track to exceed our budgeted net revenues of $440,000. In the gas department, net revenues for the year, and this is through March, so this is our peak month for the year. Net revenues are $1.7 million, well ahead of our budgeted amount of $1 million in net revenues for the year. In the water department, we are trending at $810,305.23 for the year. Our budgeted net revenues are $866,000. I can move the cursor and show you guys where I'm talking. So the next 3 months are the prime months for the water department. That's when the most water usage is in April, May, and June. So we should meet our budgeted numbers there. And finally, in the sewer department, net revenues for the year are $1,111,994.51. Our budget is $1,253,156, and it is very similar to the water department in how it trends. We are still on track to meet the budget, especially considering that April, May, and June tend to be the higher months of consumption there. I previously emailed out the detailed information, the line item financial reports. I've not received any questions back on that, but if there are questions, I'm happy to take those. That's the March financials for the utility departments.
Anybody have any questions for Nicole? All right, we need a motion to accept the report.
Motion to accept.
Need a second. Second. Have a motion and second to receive the financial reports. Any more questions on it or anything? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Did you hear Carly's vote?
I did not. Director McCatherine,
Yes.
were you in on that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Got you. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the concurrence with the Loudon City Council for the establishment of the benefit committee. You have anything you'd like to add to us?
Well, just for the audience and those listening at home, this has been an ongoing conversation since the month of February. The conversation with both the city council and this body was that a benefit advisory committee would benefit these boards in their future decision-making processes. What we're asking for today is a motion of concurrence. We don't do hard things alone. We do hard things together, and this will be a benefit committee that the city council would weigh in and authorize as a standing committee. It is recommended that the two members of this body, both Director Farmer and Vice Mayor Dixon, join the benefit advisory committee. And this is the next step in the process with a final step of formation occurring later this evening.
Does anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, we need a motion to put this thing in action.
I make a motion, we move on.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to get this established, this benefits committee established. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Got you, Carly.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is the approving a contribution and economic development agreement for the expansion and improvement of public works facilities of the water system.
Yes. It is budget season, and the next two items on your agenda are going to inform your budget tremendously. We'll start with item A, which is approving a contribution and economic development agreement for the expansion and improvement of public works facilities for the water system. There is a list of projects. There is a list of infrastructure needs of the water department that total some $20 million. This item of action will authorize the transfer of $10 million from the gas department to these projects for the water department by using the Loudon Industrial Development Board as a conduit. Why are we doing it this way? Because this is the way the Tennessee Code authorizes us to do it. This document was drafted by our attorney, Chris Fry, and at this time, I would like him to weigh in on exactly what the document authorizes. Chris?
Thank you, Manager Ross. So the way this will be structured is that the contribution
Hold on, Chris, you froze.
amount will only be transferred to be as needed. And basically how this will work is once construction is up and running, as invoices come into LUB, to a separate fund at IDB that can then be used to process those invoices. At no point will the IDB have any discretion to spend these funds on anything other than improvements and expansions. If the $10 million is not allocated completely, then all those funds would go back to the natural gas department.
Yeah, we had a little bit of lag there in the video feed from Attorney Fry. Just to further clarify, these funds, it's not an all-at-once transfer. These funds are authorized by this body for these projects. These projects will be publicly bid and managed by our water department together with consulting engineers, W.K. Dixon. And I'm speaking directly to the water treatment plant expansion and the river crossing there. And these public bid projects will be contracted for by winning bid contractors, and those contracts will be approved by this body. Each public bid comes back to this body for approval, and then the construction process begins. And only when, satisfactory progress has been made and then followed with construction draws will funds actually be taken from the LUV gas fund and transferred to the contractor. So the IDB is a voluntary board. It is not set up administratively to manage these projects. We will do so and make continuous reports to this body on how progress is made.
Anybody have any questions? Ty?
Now, the clarification, Ty, just to make sure what I heard you and Kristen say about the funds being transferred. Up front, though, are we moving 10 million to IDB?
No, you're authorizing the expenditures of up to $10 million to be spent on a list of projects that will be publicly bid, contracted for, and returned to you.
So my example, and I'm pretty clear, I think, what you're saying, I want to make sure, because there's been some public concern with how this money is going to be managed, who's handling the large portion of it as it's distributed out, transferred. So, for example, a project, $2 million, when that takes hold and we declare that a project, then we would transfer, whoever would transfer $2 million from the gas department fund to IDB. I wouldn't execute the project.
No, I don't see it coming in that large of a chunk, actually. I see it coming.
Well, I'd use it as an example.
Yeah,
it could be 100,000.
Let's just, yeah, no, that's a great example. Let's say an approved project on the list is publicly bid and the price comes back at $2 million. That project will then be, there will be a notice to proceed issued to the contractor, and then the construction process begins. So, but when the contractor seeks payment, at that time, that's when we will funnel money through the IDB from the gas fund through the invoicing process.
Okay, so technically the money is still here. We're oversighting it all the way through the process to the contractor receives it, basically.
Correct.
That makes sense?
Yes.
I think there was some miscommunication about that, or misconception, let's say, it might be a better way to say it.
I don't think we can do it.
The funds were being immediately transferred to another fund account that IDB would be in total control, and until we said go, then they would obviously pull funds, but I think it's best what path we chose. It sounds more sensible to big people.
Right.
Makes more sense.
We will maintain control of the process and merely use the IDB as a conduit for payment.
Okay. And I have a follow-up question, if it's okay to go ahead and ask that at this moment, but Concerning IDB, could you just give why it is a mandate that we have to utilize them in this process?
It is not a mandate to use IDB, but it is a mandate to use a separate economic development authority, a separate unit of government. We could have used the Loudon County EDA, but that is a board made up of appointees from other entities, like Lenore City, like Loudon County. We thought that the IDB was a closer to home board because the city of Loudon controls all the appointments.
Okay. Good. I had some questions from the public on that as well, so I felt we needed some clarification. It's a mandate, but we could have chosen the party we use, basically.
Yes, we talked through all our options and felt like this was again, closest to home and made sense from a political and economic standpoint.
Okay.
Would you say the key wording is economic development?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm sorry, if I could step in here. Yeah, the statute requires the use of an economic development agency to be the conduit for this type of contribution. And it will be up to the IDB as well to agree to the terms of this agreement. If they're not willing to serve as a partner on this, then it'll come back to us. But as it stands, they are the best vehicle that we have in the city of Loudon to partner with on this for this contribution agreement.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
And I got a quick question.
Go right ahead.
And as we're agreeing to this, all of these projects right here, we're not going ahead and giving the green light on all of them until we've had time to discuss them at a later time. Is that what we're going to do?
Yes. Each project will be permitted and then bid, and then with the bid results come back, and then we bring a recommendation to this board, who would then choose the contractor and authorize the contract.
That answer your question?
Well, so in essence, we are going ahead and agreeing to all of these projects with our vote today. Is that right?
You are agreeing that if these projects proceed on a one-at-a-time basis, and it's foreseeable that we could bid two at the same time, but as these projects return to you, you're authorizing the expenditure of gas funds for the project. Because this is...
We can kill it as we go.
The water department doesn't even have the funds to bid these projects. Sure. Without your prior authorization of this funding mechanism. And that's why I say the next two items on the agenda inform your budget, because the water department does not have a budget for these projects without first this economic development contribution agreement, and then second, the water rate increases, which are farther down the agenda.
Any more questions on the IDB?
I think the question then maybe is, why are we generating a list? Just to show potential, or just to know there's going to be reason to make this agreement today? Because
that's a good
I heard what he said is, Chairman said is that we could cancel any particular project at any time. Is that what I heard you say?
That's what you heard me say.
Yes. When we originally discussed this funding mechanism conceptually, we only talked in terms of the water treatment plant expansion. Right. We did that because it was simple. The water treatment expansion is approximately $14 million, which would totally engulf this $10 million transfer. It could potentially swallow it up entirely, and it just made it simple. We do have information that the CARES Act, recently passed by Congress, does include some additional economic development monies that are out there and can be applied for potentially for this project. We have no way of knowing whether this project would be approved for those funds, but if it is eligible, we would like to apply for it. It's our understanding that could be funded up to a 50% basis, and that lowers the cost and the borrowing cost of the water treatment expansion project. So because there's $20 million worth of projects in total, we took a Swiss Army knife approach and said, let's allow the funds to go to multiple projects rather than just one, so that our hands aren't tied and we have the most options going forward.
Anybody else?
I have another question.
You got another?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Section 4, let's see here. Section 4, sorry, under recitals, Section 4, contribution fund. It just makes a statement there that IDB will set up a separate account. And is the logic in that to give, again, provide oversight when we withdraw monies to give them, then they have their own account. But they are to set up a separate account that this would be specified to the funds that we transfer to them specifically, where then we can still manage oversight if need be of those funds? Is that the purpose?
Yeah, I believe
But we would be accountable for any cost or expenses accumulated with that fund. And if we are accountable and for expenses, if there are any, then we should be able to have oversight to that fund, even though it's understood to be set up by them.
Yeah, the account language is drafted for the necessity of the conduit arrangement required by the statute. But our plan is for simply to handle it through the invoices and run payments through the account almost on a wire transfer basis, so that it would be in and out, so to speak. Okay. So I could see some wire fees. I could see some wire transactions, $14, $15, $20 a pop.
Okay. And
that we would be responsible for.
Question that then would be, would each project have its own account set, or would it just be the one project fund that they would set up and all projects would flow through that fund? Through that account, I mean. Do we know?
I think that's probably an accounting question as to what is the simplest way to set that up. I'll let Nicole speak to that, but as long as legally the IDB is used as a conduit, then the interfund transfer is allowed. But as far as the housekeeping, the administration of the various accounts, we'll put our heads together on that and just determine what's easiest.
The intent here for establishing this account is to isolate these funds from any other transactions that the IDB does. So everything that from the gas department payable for water for these projects is not at risk of being commingled with other Industrial Development Board transactions. It is isolated in this account specifically for the projects that are outlined and allowable in the agreement. And I think that list of projects, it just defines what is allowable use of these funds. And having them flow through that one account is a way to manage it and audit it and make sure everything is accounted for.
That's right, Nicole. The driving driving force behind that paragraph is to prevent any commingling, because ultimately, this project or this transaction has been guided by the comptroller's office, and we know that we want to have our records when we're done with this to show that every dollar that left the gas department went to one of these permitted uses that are outlined in the exhibit to the contribution agreement. And this way, as long as the money only goes to that one account and it never touches any other funds that are contributed to the IDB, then we'll be able to track that and show that the money was properly managed.
Which I agree with 100%. I think that's correct, but this word I should have used, transparency. Can we monitor transparency through the process of the project in that fund?
Absolutely. A paper trail will be created, much like a TDOT grant, when, in essence, the gas department is granting funds to the water department in a grant through the IDB. And we have to have a paper trail showing the water department entering into a list of projects, and then the water department ultimately being reimbursed through this grant by the gas fund.
So there'll be clear transparency for funds put in, funds withdrawn, and where those funds are being executed.
Yes.
That's the key. Because I think that's important. Also, the public wants to know that we're doing that. And we are, as the Loudon Utility Board, according to Section 4, accountable for this fund if it has any expenses or encounters any issues. So we want to make sure that we have provided oversight and not excluded anything. And this may be a little redundant what I've asked here, but I want to make sure we're clear on that, because I want our public to know that their dollars are being used wisely.
We know this is a big decision. We know it's outside the box thinking. We know a lot of people are going to be looking over our shoulder. We want to make them proud, and we want to show them that we're doing this in their best interest and to keep their water rates as low as possible.
Yes. Good deal. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any more questions? Great questions, Gene. And thank you, Ty, for all the great answers. Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve a contribution and economic development agreement for the expansion and improvement of public works facilities of the water system. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Did you get
Carly said aye.
Oh, good deal. All right, the next item on the agenda is providing for water rate increases through January the 1st, 2023.
Now, this is the next major element of new monies that will inform your budget. This is a schedule of water rate increases, and we brought with us today, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, a table showing a 3-year schedule of water rate increases. And we've discussed this from the get-go conceptually. Our cost of service study revealed that not all rate classes were contributing to the cost of the water that they were purchasing. They were under-contributing at various rates, and the idea here is to create a rising tide that lifts all boats, starting with the rate class that is under-contributing the most, and then picking up other rate classes as the water rises. You see this schedule here, and you see the highlighted column showing the rate classes to be impacted first. This is a plan to take contribution rates to 85% over a 3-year period. There are other monies available, which we intend to go after, and if we are successful in grants, it is theoretically possible that 85% could become the new 100%, just depending on how successful we are. So that's why we want to take a slow, methodical approach with incremental steps and see where we are in 3 years.
Do we have any questions? If not, then I'll entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion, we move on it. And I appreciate the 3-year plan because I believe that's a progressive move that we need to make. And I'll pass because then it gives us a vision for the budgeting properties that we need. Good.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor of providing for the increase, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, likewise. Next item is acknowledging the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System rate effective for July 1, 2020.
Yes, this organization does participate in the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System, which then recommends to us an annual contribution from we as employers. In early March, we received a TCRS recommendation from the state. We feel that recommendation is now dated because it was pre-COVID-19. It recommended contribution levels that are 4.23% for the city and 3.57% for Loudon Utilities respectively. Because of the pandemic's impact on investment accounts and markets around the world, we feel it's prudent to not decrease our contribution but maintain the same level of contribution as last year.
Yeah, that's with the hope that we can stay even at least.
Yes. Yep. And that is a contribution of 4.57%.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, we need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion, we accept that.
Need a second?
Second.
Have a motion and second to acknowledge the retirement system rate effective July 1st, 2020. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, likewise. Establishing natural gas effective June.
The cost of natural gas delivered to the city gate increased for the month of May, but they're historically low. And utilizing our formula, this converts to a rate of $1.98 per 100 cubic feet per gas billed after June 1.
Okay. Need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and second to establish natural gas rate for June. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, likewise. Right, that takes us to other, what you got on that Tennessee Valley?
Yes, sir. The Tennessee fuel cost adjustment was reported as an increase by TVA, and that rate will result in a 12-cent increase for each 1,000 kilowatt hours of residential customer use.
Okay. Manager Ross, you have anything else for us?
Let's see. Help me out here. Yes. I did send you an email on this, but for the benefit of the group in this room and the group watching at home, I'm requesting $5,000 from this body as a match for what's called a Community Cares Grant from TVA. TVA is spreading some $3 million around the Tennessee Valley in response to COVID-19. They basically divided it up based on population, and $10,000 was made eligible to our district. The question is, what do you spend it on? And it has to be in response to COVID-19. We did reach out to the schools, the Loudon County school system, on what they need right now and what they would need to reopen in the fall under these bizarre circumstances. The response we received was they need $15,000 for the summer feeding program that's now in full swing. They would like $2,500 for the infrared thermometers to check students, not just when they come to school, but also extracurricular activities like ball games. And they would like $2,500 for classroom sharing software. We all know that school's going to be different going forward, and this software will help link children, parents, administrators, and teachers from outside the classroom into the classroom. All in, it's $20,000. $5,000 is requested from this body. I have a request for the Rotary Club of Loudon for an additional $5,000 to help provide the $10,000 match to TVA, which does require a dollar-for-dollar match. So all in, it's $20,000 going to our community in response to needs of COVID-19.
Anybody have any questions concerning that? Have you already got the approval from your club?
Yeah, I did. We're not meeting in person, but still emailing and communicating digitally. Got a very favorable response. Submitted this framework to TVA and received a favorable response from TVA as well. So I think that the application will be well received.
That's good. That's good. Do you need us to approve that tonight, or is that just for information right now?
I think it would be helpful, and it also inform our budget, because we'll mark it down as an approved expenditure on your part.
Is this though, the money will come through the grant from TVA?
You're matching a grant. We, the community, you and Rotary, are matching a $10,000 grant dollar for dollar. So it'll be $20,000 injection into the school system.
I got you.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'm sure that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they really need. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good thing.
I think this body could do it.
I think it's a good thing, yeah. Did you say you wanted us to approve that tonight or not?
It would be helpful.
Okay.
If you, with your approval, I would go ahead and submit the application.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve that.
Okay. We have a motion and second to approve $5,000. Is that what we're approving now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the $5,000 that will be a matching fund from TVA. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And no opposed. Thank you. Manager Ross, do you have anything else?
That's all this evening. Thank you.
Tim, do you have anything?
I do not.
Gene? Bart?
I'm good, sir.
Carly, you have anything for us tonight?
No, sir. Just hope to be present next month.
Wonderful. All right, this meeting is adjourned.